You're listening to How to Drink Less, and I'm your host, Adriana Cloud. Whether your goal is to cut back, take a break, or say goodbye to alcohol for good, this podcast will help you stop drinking on autopilot, learn how to manage cravings, and feel fully in control around alcohol. It's easier than you think. Listen on to find out how. Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all doing well. Today's episode is going to be a little different. Today, I want to answer the question, how come you became a sobriety coach? I'll be honest, when people ask me that, I often stumble over my answer. And that's not because I have any doubts about my coaching niche. I don't believe in divine callings or one perfect career or anything like that, but I do believe that I am doing exactly the work that I'm supposed to be doing. So that's not it. The reason I hesitate how to answer this question is because this work is so deeply personal to me that I feel like I'm always running the risk of breaking open the most vulnerable parts of my life in front of a potential stranger who maybe was just making small talk. I help people to break up with alcohol because I know what it's like to feel like alcohol is the only thing keeping you going. I know that pit in the stomach when you know you're drinking too much and you're terrified that you won't be able to stop. That was me, caught between a rock and a hard place. Part of me didn't actually want to quit because I could not imagine how I would get through the day without drinking. I thought that my life would be sad and boring and utterly miserable if I gave up alcohol. And part of me was scared to death of the consequences to my health and to my life in general if I kept drinking the way I was drinking. I knew that path was not sustainable. It felt like I had no good choices. I didn't want to continue drinking, but I didn't want to quit drinking either. I help people to free themselves from their dependence on alcohol because I have gotten drunk until I blacked out, and I've had many, many nights when I didn't remember how I got home. I've put myself in very dangerous situations while intoxicated. I have woken up with unexplained bruises. I've embarrassed myself in public many times, and I've been rude, I've picked fights, and I've acted like a complete jackass, frankly. I have lost possessions while drinking, and I've spent money on stupid, unnecessary, and even harmful things while drinking. While drunk, I've had conversations I don't remember. I've sent text messages that I was shocked and embarrassed to read the next day. I have said and done hurtful things to people I care about, things I would never say or do sober. I am still mortified when I remember some of my antics while drinking. I've also had to take a person I love dearly to the emergency room multiple times because they were drinking too much and destroying their body. I had to also take them to an alcohol detox clinic, and that experience is something that I don't wish on my worst enemy. The memories of seeing someone in that state, with their skin bruised blue because of so many IVs, still haunt me and make my chest hurt to this day. That experience was one of the worst things that I've been through in my life. And the thing is, I still kept drinking for years after that. Even though I had seen firsthand what alcohol could do to a person's health and what alcohol could do to a relationship, still, I kept drinking for years before I reached my own breaking point. And I say breaking point, but really, it was way less dramatic than that term would imply. I didn't have a rock bottom. I didn't just wake up one day and decide, this is it, I'm done. There wasn't a single disaster that finally snapped me out of my drunken haze and pushed me into action. Nobody staged an intervention. Though, to be fair, that could be because I was pretty good at hiding, and on the surface, I was still able to hold my life together. So, as far as the outside world could see, I was mostly fine, even if I did occasionally get a little bit too tipsy. In the end, it was the weight of all those hungover mornings when I woke up feeling terrible and filled with shame and self hatred that finally became unbearable to me. There simply came a point where the idea of finally doing something about my drinking became less painful than the idea of not doing anything about my drinking. By that point, I had already read a couple of Quit Lit books, and a quote from one of them had stuck with me. It was from Drink, The Intimate Relationship Between Women and Alcohol by Ann Dowsett Johnston. I'll put the link to the book in the show notes, but this was the quote. "This is your behavior. Is this really your ideal self?" It will not surprise you to hear that that was not my ideal self. I didn't have the faintest idea at the time what my ideal self could possibly look like, but it was painfully obvious that I was the opposite of that. My life was a mess and I hated myself, and I finally decided it was time to make some changes. And of course, deciding to do something about my drinking was just the first step. Then came the actual work of following through on that intention. And let me tell you, it was not easy. There were so many hopeless days when all I could do was berate myself for having allowed my drinking to get that bad, while also feeling sorry for myself and wallowing in self pity that it was my fate to bear this heavy cross and to have to give up this wonderful thing, or so I told myself. I tried to punish myself into drinking less. I also tried to scare myself sober and to bully myself into cutting back. I tested my willpower to its limits. I made bargains with myself. If I could stay sober on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday, I could drink as much as I wanted on the other days. If I could have only one drink while out at the pub, then the next night I could drink the whole bottle of Prosecco. I know the trials and errors. I know the false starts, the many day ones, the "I'll start over on Monday" hamster wheel. I know the shame of betraying my own promises and the embarrassment of telling my friends I was trying to cut back and worrying that they were judging me. I know how long each minute feels when you're trying to resist the urge to grab the bottle. I know the FOMO when you're the only one in the group nursing a soda while everyone else is laughing and enjoying their cocktails. I know what it's like to lie awake for hours because you're not used to falling asleep without a nightcap. I know the crawling anxiety and insecurity of having sex sober when you're used to relying on alcohol to get you in the mood and to feel more comfortable in your own body. I know the hurt and betrayal when a close friend says to you, "You're more fun when you drink," or when they pressure you to join in the fun because, quote, "one drink won't hurt." And I know that my story is not special. While the individual details will vary, the main themes of my experience will be very familiar to anyone who's ever tried to drink less. But on the other side of my banal personal unraveling, there was the slow repair too. The flicker of pride when you put away the bottle after one drink, because one drink is what you promised yourself you'd have. The relief of waking up with a clear head, the peace of remembering every conversation you had the night before, the thrill of seeing the sober days adding up in the sober counter app. Slowly, I learned to forgive myself, and I learned how to take care of my body and my mind, how to be honest with myself about what I wanted and what I needed, and how to begin to communicate those needs to the people around me. None of this came easily to me, and I had to practice day after day to set boundaries, to stay fully present with every challenge and every feeling. I had to learn how to trust myself again, which was a tall order since for so many years I had let myself down again and again. I had to learn how to get excited about the future again. And here I am, coming up on 5 years since I quit drinking, and about 5.5 years since I started counting sober days. And every day I am becoming a little bit more of the person I want to be, all the while knowing that I will always be a work in progress and knowing that perfection is unattainable. I am not deluding myself, thinking that I will ever reach a point where I feel like I fully arrived and there's nothing more for me to work on. But to me, that's good news. It would be quite sad if I ever felt like I've learned everything there is to learn and I'm done growing. To me, it's exciting to keep doing this work because it means I'm fully alive. The life that I've created for myself since I quit drinking is unrecognizable compared to the life I used to lead as a drinker. This new life feels like a gift, albeit a gift I've worked very hard for and one that I do not take for granted. But I know without a doubt that this gift is available to others too. If I can do it, you can do it too. If I can clean up the mess I'd made of my life and rebuild it from scratch and learn how to take care of myself and thrive, so can you. If I can get to a point where I don't need alcohol, I don't want it, and I don't ever miss it, so can you. I coached myself to not want alcohol before I even knew what coaching was. And it's only in hindsight that I can name and fully appreciate the tools that I used back when I was trying to stop drinking. But the tools work. Understanding why you drink and learning how to be present with your feelings instead of numbing them, that's what's going to help you not only to regain control over alcohol and over your life, but to feel good about it too, because it's coming from a new identity rather than just relying on willpower. That unshakable trust that this work is transformational and radically healing and so necessary, that's why I became a sobriety coach. That's why I do what I do. I still haven't figured out how to say that in a concise soundbite to a person who's asked me what to them is probably a simple, innocent question. And I definitely need to work on my elevator pitch. But I wanted you all to know why I do this work, because it's deeply personal to me and deeply meaningful, and I want you all to have what I have. I know it's possible, and you deserve to have it too. If any part of my story felt familiar to you, if you've been caught in that same tug of war between wanting to change and feeling like you can't, I want to remind you that it's never too late to make a different choice, no matter what choices you've previously made. You can start doing something different today. You're not broken, you're not weak, and you don't have to do this alone. I would love to help you find your own way to freedom, without shame, without punishment, and without relying just on willpower. If you're curious what this could look like for you, I really urge you to book a free consultation. We'll talk about what's going on, where you feel stuck, and how we can work together to help you build a life that doesn't revolve around alcohol. You will find the booking link in the show notes. And wherever you are on your sober or soberish or sober curious journey, please know I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you and I'm cheering you on. And if you decide to work with me one-on-one, I will do everything in my power to help you be free, because you deserve it. That's where I'll leave you for today. I hope you have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon. If you're looking for practical advice for how to say no to alcohol and say yes to yourself, you will want to get on my email list. Sign up to receive my free guide with 7 steps to kickstart your sobriety. The link is in the show notes, so go and grab it now, and I'll see you soon in your inbox.